I'm not trying to become an influencer or anything, but like earlier last year I bought this fancy camera and I've not really used it in a while, so I thought I'd get a bit of practice on that. But what am I doing today? Today I'm going to the gym and I'm testing my 5 rep maxes. I think like most people, I find these probably the hardest to do. Like 1 and 3 rep maxes, it's obviously way easier to gauge how heavy you're gonna go, whereas like there's so much more mental strain with 5 rep maxes. What numbers am I expecting to get? Well, I'm hoping that I can get my 3 rep maxes for 5. That'd be quite nice. So that's a 122.5 squat, 87.5 kg bench, and 135 deadlift. Didn't sleep very well last night, but at least mobility and stuff and nutrition lately has been really good. So I'm really not sure how I'm feeling about this session, to be honest, but hopefully we'll get what we want. I mean, in the end of the day, it's just lifting really. It's not that deep, you know, but yeah, I'll see you in the gym. Hopefully it's not too busy and I don't feel too awkward filming things. So yeah, see you there. Let's give it a go. 1, 2, 4. Failed 124 and 120, but oh well. 124 is technically a PR. Beat my past 3 rep max. Not what I was going for, but makes all the other lifts a bit harder. But oh well. Yeah, there's no point moving on. It's not that deep. Smashed the 88 kilo bench, felt really easy. Using a higher bench than normal because the way the pins are, blah blah blah. It would have either crushed me or I couldn't get a full rep, so I used this high bench. So should I fail a rep, I don't die, basically. But now I'm gonna push it to 92, see what happens. Might die, might not, but either way, it's okay. are back in the new day. Today is the day after testing my 5 rep maxes, and I just wanted to sort of reflect on how I feel things went, especially now that I've had a bit of time to think. The squats then, I started with 124, so the reason I went for this was because in building up to this moment, I was doing comfortable sets of 115, and something that I find with my training is that I tend to be like really quite conservative. Usually, I don't want to say the easier option, being more sensible, because I'm very aware that the most important session that you're going to do is tomorrow's session, so on and so forth, as they say, right? I wanted to send it a bit more, so that's why I started with 124 rather than 120, because I was pretty confident that I could get it. I ended up getting a set of 3, still technically a PR like I said earlier, but that's not what I was going for. I was pretty confident that I could get this, and I've been trying to think on why. It could be anything from, I still had a bit of glute tightness from just training in the weeks before. I was doing a lot of mobility, but you're never going to be perfect, right? Another reason as well is I didn't have a belt. I'm just using the belt at the gym, which is a kind of dirty, I know, but I don't have money to drop on a belt yet. So as a result of that, I was probably missing a bit of the mental edge of just wearing the belt, but as well as a bit of the assistance in bracing. Pretty much the same thing happened with 120, failed that on the 3rd rep. But so after that, I decided to call it quits there, just cut my losses, move on. Considering that I was doing 115 for 5 reps, I'm pretty sure that if I started with the set of 120 that I would have got it. Safe to say that, well, I suppose technically my 5 rep max is 115, although I know it's more than that. When it comes to bench, there's not really too much to say about that. I was quite happy. I already mentioned earlier in the video about having the higher bench and stuff, and I find that that gives me a bit more of an arch, which sort of feels like I'm cheating, but also I'm not, because arches are important. So my PR before all of that was 185 for 5, and that was earlier on in the year. And then I tested my 3 rep maxes later on, and I only got 85 then, which is confusing. So I was kind of like a bit mixed going into this, because I knew that surely from just like sheer volume of training that I should be able to get more than my previous best. But always gonna have a couple doubts, you know. So I put on 88, and that flew, felt really comfortable with that. Probably should have progressed to 90 rather than 92, but again, it just felt so good that I thought I should at least give it a whirl. So I then got 3 reps of 92, so felt good about that. And I suppose technically another PR set, but again, that's not what I was going for. Deadlifts, really quite happy with how that went. Didn't lock out the last rep properly, lost my balance, probably didn't push the ground away enough, but the weight moved up, so I'm gonna count that just because I'm being generous and I'm not in a competition, and it's not anything serious, is it? So I'm counting that, and 137 is actually 98% of my 1 rep max, I think. Before I only got 140, so just that like volume is a massive win for me. Now, the last couple of reps definitely felt backier than it should have, as if backier is a term, and I am feeling it today. As much as it shouldn't, I feel like there's always going to be a tiny bit of jeopardizing when you're going for that maximal load. But everything was feeling quite warmed up from doing the squats already. I always find that doing like squatting movements before I deadlift, like, just feel like it helps me get that power in the initial part of the movement. So I think that helped a bit. Overall, quite happy with how everything went. Got some new PRs. Not too sure what happened with squats, but it is what it is. It's all just a bit of fun, really. It's good to see numbers going up and just getting a bit stronger. So I try not to take anything when it comes to lifting or hobbies too seriously, because by that point you just end up running yourself to the ground, don't you? So just find fun in whatever you're doing, and you can't really go wrong from there. So yeah, those are some of my thoughts on how I felt like that went. Thank you very much if you did spend the time watching me do things. Probably not going to do this again, not for a while, I don't know. Like I said at the start, just wanted to test this camera. But yeah, thank you very much for watching.